somewhere beneath 45 meters of cold Mediterranean water, sealed inside a shipwreck that nobody knew existed, a bronze machine sat in the dark for 2,000 years. When divers finally pulled it from the sea, they almost threw it away. It looked like a rock. Then the X-rays came back. Inside was a system of interlocking gears, precise, deliberate, impossibly sophisticated, capable of predicting solar eclipses, tracking 5 planets, and calculating astronomical cycles centuries into the future. Built around 100 BC, the next device of comparable mechanical complexity doesn't appear in the historical record for another 1,400 years. What you're about to see are real objects, held in real museums. And they all ask the same question. What if we got the timeline of human achievement completely wrong? Tonight, we follow 8 artifacts that broke the timeline. An ancient Greek astronomical computer, dragged from the seafloor. A clay jar in Iraq that may have generated electricity 2 millennia before the light bulb. A Viking coin discovered in America 4 centuries before Columbus. Bronze mirrors that project hidden images using nothing but light. A rotating bookshelf built for the world's first multitasker. A map that shows a continent no one had officially discovered yet. Perfectly round stone spheres carved without a single metal tool. And a paint kit, 100,000 years old, from the first artist who ever lived. Let's go. The year is 1900. Greek sponge divers, blown off course by a storm, anchor near the island of Antikythera. One diver descends. He surfaces convinced he's seen corpses on the seafloor. What he actually found was a Roman shipwreck, loaded with marble sculptures, bronze statues, and one corroded lump nobody paid much attention to. 2 years later, an archaeologist notices gears inside that lump. CT scanning would eventually reveal at least 30 interlocking bronze gears, some with 223 precisely cut teeth, capable of tracking the solar calendar, predicting eclipses using the 18-year Saros cycle, and modeling the movement of 5 planets simultaneously. This was a hand-cranked astronomical computer, built by ancient Greeks, and we have no blueprints, no workshop, no precursor, just this one perfect object pulled from the sea. And somewhere in that same wreck, researchers believe more fragments are still waiting. In 1938, a German archaeologist cataloging objects in a Baghdad museum basement found a clay jar he couldn't categorize. Inside, a copper cylinder. Inside that, an iron rod, both sealed with asphalt. He believed it was a battery. Fill the jar with vinegar or citric acid, and the copper and iron create 2 electrodes, generating a small but measurable electric current. The same basic principle Alessandro Volta would discover in 1800. Except this jar dates to somewhere between 250 BC and 224 AD. Replicas work. Mythbusters used one to electroplate a small object with gold. And in ancient Iraqi goldsmith workshops from the same era, archaeologists have found gilded objects so thin and even that experts initially assumed they were electroplated, because no other technique produces results that precise. Was it a battery? A medical device? What, a ritual object? No ancient text explains it. We have the jar, the chemistry, and 2,000 years of silence. 1974. An amateur archaeologist excavating a Native American settlement in Maine pulls a single silver coin from the soil. It takes years to identify. When experts finally do, the result is quietly staggering. The coin is Norse, minted in Norway between 1065 and 1093 AD, 4 centuries before Columbus. No Viking settlement has ever been found in Maine. The only confirmed Norse site in North America is in Newfoundland, hundreds of miles north. The leading explanation is that the coin traveled south through indigenous trade networks, passing from tribe to tribe over generations until it landed in coastal Maine. Which tells us something remarkable, not about the Vikings, but about pre-Columbian America. A coin minted in Norway crossed 2 continents without a single European carrier. Ancient China produced bronze mirrors, polished on one side, decorated with raised patterns on the back. Ordinary objects, unremarkable. Until you held one up to sunlight. The reflected light didn't cast a blank circle on the wall. It projected the pattern from the back. Dragons, inscriptions, intricate designs, as a crisp, glowing image through solid bronze. European scholars cut them open looking for hidden glass. They found solid metal all the way through. The explanation took until the 20th century to fully work out. During casting, the back design created microscopic variations in thickness. During polishing, thinner sections flexed imperceptibly under the tool, creating microcurvatures that encode the back pattern into the geometry of the reflective surface. The craftspeople who made them almost certainly couldn't explain the physics. They learned through practice, generation after generation, guided only by results. A technology discovered through craft, working perfectly for 1,000 years. 1588. Italian engineer Agostino Ramelli publishes a catalog of machines and includes one illustration that looks almost absurd. A large wooden wheel, fitted with reading desks around its rim, each desk mounted on epicyclic gears that keep it perfectly level, no matter how the wheel spins. You sit down, you open 6 books, one on each desk. You spin to the one you need. You read. You spin again. This is, in every functional sense, a tabbed browser. Built from wood and gears in the 16th century. And the gear system Ramelli used to keep those desks level? The same mechanical principle used in modern automatic transmissions. He built it simply because scholars needed to read faster. In 1513, Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis drew a map assembled from roughly 20 sources. Some, he claimed, dating back to Alexander the Great. For centuries, it was simply an interesting historical document. Then scholars looked more closely at the bottom of the map. There's a large southern landmass, detailed with bays and inlets, that some researchers argue resembles Antarctica, officially undiscovered until 1820. And the Antarctica visible today sits under kilometers of ice. Its actual rock coastline wasn't fully mapped until the 1950s using seismic equipment. The debate is genuine. Some argue the landmass is a distorted South America, a common cartographic error of the era. Others point to specific features that seem to match the subglacial coastline rather than the icy surface. No one has resolved it. The map still asks more questions than it answers. Jungle workers in 1930s Costa Rica kept unearthing large stone balls, hundreds of them, some the size of a grapefruit, some 3 meters across and weighing over 15 tons, carved from gabbro, one of the hardest igneous rocks, without metal tools or measuring instruments. The largest deviate from a perfect sphere by less than half a centimeter across their entire diameter. They were made between 600 and 1000 AD by a culture that left no written record. Many were arranged in deliberate patterns, lines, triangles, what appear to be constellations. Most have been moved, so the full arrangement is lost. We don't know what they were for. We know they mattered enough to spend an extraordinary amount of human time and collective effort making them perfectly, exactly round. That level of care for an object whose purpose we can't name says something about the people who made them that no text ever could. In 2011, archaeologists excavating Blombos Cave in South Africa found a complete toolkit. Abalone shells used as mixing bowls, ochre pigment ground, and blended with bone, charcoal, and a liquid binder, stone grinding tools, everything needed to make paint. The kit was 100,000 years old. No painting survived. Whatever it was used for, skin, objects, surfaces long since decayed, is gone. What remains is the intention. A human being, anatomically identical to you, are deliberately assembled materials to create something that didn't exist in nature. Not for food, not for shelter, for expression. 8 objects. 8 unanswered questions. And one idea connecting all of them. Human ingenuity did not begin with us. It began in caves, in river valleys, in small workshops by the sea, in the hands of people who looked at the world and thought, I can do something with this. The Antikythera Mechanism is what that instinct looks like when it meets mathematics. The Baghdad Battery is what it looks like with chemistry. The magic mirrors are what it looks like across 1,000 years of quiet craft. And that paint kit? That's where all of it began. What else is still down there, waiting,